and you realize that your expectations were far from what the actual thing that is happening on the ground. Does it sound familiar? The project starts, it will succeed no matter what, even if it takes longer than expected, right? So in reality, projects often fail.
There is often an expectation that we launch high quality, perfect product. So,
Well, Apple itself has not been able to do that. They always come up with fixes later on, right? Wants and carefully navigating the gaps between what they want and what's realistic given the project constraints. So you have to actually evaluate what you have and what you can deliver.
Yeah.
Welcome everyone to another edition of Tech Samvad, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of technology and project management. So picture this, you are leading a high stakes project and everything seems to be going according to the plan. Suddenly, reality hits you like a ton of bricks, and you realize that your expectations were far from what the actual thing that is happening on the ground. Does it sound familiar? Well, we've all been there, isn't it? The truth is, the gap between expectations and reality in project management can feel like a deep chasm that is impossible to bridge. But fear not, dear listeners, today, because on Tech Samvad, we are going to equip you with the tools and insights you need to navigate this treacherous terrain. Now, we'll dive deep into the world of project management, exposing the common misconceptions and providing you with practical strategies to manage expectations effectively. So, whether you are a seasoned project manager or just starting out, this episode is for you. So, let's get started. I'm Pramesh.
hello everyone, I'm Shalin. So let's discuss today how we are tackling this conception, right? So every project manager and team member can relate to this topic. So this is basically reality versus expectation in project management. And let's get ready to take notes because we are about to embark on a journey that will transform the way you approach your project management, the way you handle your project management, right? So welcome to Tech Samvad, this podcast where we tackle the biggest challenges in technology and project management head on.
That's right, Shalin. So we are exploring the often significant gap between what we expect from projects and what actually happens, right? That reality versus expectations.
That's true, Ramesh. So we have both been in the project management field for quite some time. What would you say in the biggest misconception people have about managing projects?
Well, I would say that the belief that once a project starts, it will succeed no matter what, even if it takes longer than expected, right? So in reality, projects often fail, and ignoring that possibility doesn't make them succeed.
Absolutely. I mean, it's very crucial to understand that project management is not just about following a plan, but adapting to constant changes and challenges. So we need to understand that.
So let's break down some common expectations, right, and compare them to the reality of project management. So, Shalin, what's the first one that comes to your mind?
Well, there is often an expectation that we can accurately estimate how long a project or a milestone will take time, right?
Yeah,
So
that's a great example. The reality is that we often don't know how long sometimes some things will take until it's actually done, right? Projects can slip by more than 10 to 20% sometimes. So we have to have a buffer also, like typically for the plan. So sometimes even the original plan estimate is wrong.
yeah, that's true. And, another expectation is that the new hires will hit the ground running.
Oh yeah.
But in reality, it can take up to 6 months or more for an engineer to become fully
Oh,
productive.
yes, absolutely. That's so true. We also often expect work to be done at fixed times and places, right? But the reality is that work happens at all times, and people sometimes do personal things at the office and work things at home. So that's the reality.
Yeah. Let's talk about the product launches, Pramesh. There is often an expectation that we launch high quality and perfect product. So,
Well, Apple itself has not been able to do that. They always come up with fixes later on, right? So but the reality is that we often launch products with as many bugs as we can get away with. That's the reality. It's about finding that balance between quality and time to market, because otherwise you're just going to be like never ending, and it'll be too costly to do it.
right. So, Pramesh, let's talk about how to manage these expectations in project management, right? So, now that we have identified some key differences between expectation and reality, let's accept it, right? But let's have a let's have some mitigation plan. I mean, how to manage it. So let's discuss how project managers can do better here so that they can manage
Yeah,
expectations.
absolutely right. So one of the most important things I think is to set realistic expectations from the start. This means like identifying stakeholders, wants, and carefully navigating the gaps between what they want and what's realistic given the project constraints. So you have to actually evaluate what you have and what you can deliver.
Yeah, that's crucial, Ramesh, and it is also important to check and optimize goals often,
Yes,
frequently, I will say. And projects are dynamic and priorities can shift as the team becomes more aware of all the
absolutely. Yeah.
features which are impacting your
Yeah,
clients.
definitely. And another effective strategy, Shalin, is to use milestones as expectations markers, right? So these can serve as checkpoints to align on goals and align on expectations throughout the project lifecycle. That.
So, see, communication is the key in all of these aspects of what we are discussing,
Oh
right?
yeah, absolutely.
So, regular meeting with the project team and the stakeholders also can help in managing the changing project landscape and managing the expectation also.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's about keeping everyone in the loop, right? And managing expectations continuously throughout the project. That is how it is.
Yeah. So, Ramesh, as we wrap up, right? So, what would you say? Some key takeaways here for our of our discussion to our listeners. What do you want
Well,
to?
I think three, four things that come to my mind is like, which are very important is like we need to be very realistic in
Mhm.
planning and especially our estimates, right?
Mhm.
Then, like you said, communicate clearly and regularly with all the stakeholders. The
Mhm.
next one I would say is be prepared to adapt as the project evolves because that is going to change. And then the last one I would say is that milestones, we have to use milestones to check in on the expectations throughout the project. So use milestones wisely so that you can be on track.
Yeah, good points, Pramesh. I would add that it's crucial to remember that the gap between expectation and reality often dictates how satisfied stakeholders are in the project outcome, right? And managing this gap is a key skill for any project manager. It's core responsibility. We need to understand it. As we come to the end of our discussion on reality versus expectation, I cannot help but think about how the topic resonate with so many of us, especially in the technology industry. So it
Yeah,
happens a
well,
lot.
we have covered a lot of ground today from common misconceptions to practical strategies for managing expectations. But if there's one thing I hope our listeners take away from this episode, it
Mhm.
is this the gap between expectations and reality isn't a sign of failure. That we need to understand. It's an opportunity for growth and innovation that way. So remember, project managers, you are not alone in facing these challenges. Every project, no matter how well planned, will encounter unexpected twists and turns. It's how you navigate these challenges that defines your success.
And one more point, Parmesh, for our listener who might be feeling overwhelmed by this gap, the skills we have discussed today, like clear communication, adaptability, and realistic planning, are all learnable and improvable. So keep
Right,
practicing it. You will do
that's
better.
right. They're not rocket science after all, right? And remember something, the most innovative solutions come from those moments when reality forces us to think outside the box.
Yeah. So before we sign off, we would love to hear from you. What strategy have you used to bridge the gap between expectation versus reality in your projects? Share your experience with us on our social media channel or leave a comment to our channel. And if you found values in today's discussion, please don't forget to subscribe our channel. Your support helps us to continue bring the new important topic and conversation on technology and project management.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for tuning in for Tech Samvad today. So until next time, keep your expectations high, but your planning grounded in reality. So keep innovating, keep learning. So until next time, thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.